Hello everybody, this is Lila in Hawaii. I'm making myself a few travel items because I'm going to be traveling next month, and today I'm making luggage tags. I'm also making one for each of my daughters. So here's the way my luggage tags are looking. Now I've made the tag, there's a little pocket here, and I just inserted one of my paintings in there, but of course you could insert your business card, with your address and so forth, and just whatever. These are for my daughters first of all, but I wanted to show you some of the basics I use for making them. First of all, the fabric. The fabric is from a Hawaiian fabric, and it's called Jam's World. It's all Hawaiian prints. Beautiful, they're just beautiful. And you can buy a bundle of this. These are like their leftovers from when they've cut garments. And you can buy a bundle. I think this is 40 pieces. And each piece is 10-inch square. Now, it is rayon, so it's a bit slippery to work with. Anyway, I'm trying to challenge myself to make some things out of the 10-inch squares. So I first of all came up with tags. I needed tags anyway. And I thought, well, those were nice and bright. And, I can see them if my luggage goes through the carousel. I can find them easily. So I'm just going to show you how some of the basics of how I do them. This has got all long. Okay. First off, I take a piece of I take one square, and I'm trying to get everything out of one square. So I take the one square and I fold it in half. Then I cut out this shape, and I put some iron-on interfacing on this. Also, by the way, I've given it a good spray with some spray starch, some of this, which I use a lot because this is such slippery fabric. Oh my goodness. So I can get that out of the 10-inch square, plus I can get a piece of fabric, for the tie. Now the fabric for the tie, of course, will only be 10 inches because the square's 10 inches. In order to make it 15 inches, which is what I require, I sew it in the center like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is sew it. So I'm going to sew a seam. I've tried all different ways. Because it's so narrow, it's kind of tricky. But I'm going to back stitch first. Okay. So I'm just going down and sewing first, sewing the right sides together like a tube. So I'm doing that, and I'm just sort of back stitching on the ends. Okay, so that's the tube. Now to turn it, it's always a bit tricky, but I want to make it kind of narrower there. So I made it a bit narrower. And actually I'll make both ends a bit narrower. One end's important, the other end I don't think so important. But I like to do that. Then I've got this wire thing, which is actually a tube turner. And you just put it in there, and you grab hold of the fabric if you can. It's not always easy. And then you've got to find something to hook it onto. And I've got this extra thing on the top of my sewing machine. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to pull it, and I'll show you what happens. You probably can't see this. That. Gosh. I'm trying to get this through, and it's tricky because it's not a very stable hold I've got on it here. Okay, so I've got it through. and I've taken it off. I'm sorry that took a bit longer. It's a little tricky. Now I've got it like this. It's a mess. Oh, gee. I tried folding in the sides and sewing it that way, but that was tedious because you end up with something so wacky. Okay, so there it is. So there's the tie. Now, I'm not going to show you how I sew it right now, but what I will do first is I'll iron it, and then I'm going to sew both sides of it. Okay? So that's that part. Now, I'll show you where I'm up to. So this is what I've taken something like this, where I made the V, and the tie is going to go there. And it's going to be inserted inside, of course, inside there. Then I will sew right around, leaving this open because this is the bottom, and this is where I have to turn it inside out. So I'll show you the next step. So I've sewn that around, right around. I don't want to go around all these steps because it's boring. Gone all around that. I've turned it inside out, and I've put a little stitch across there, and of course, you know, it needs the little bits of stuff cutting, all the little threads, and I'll do more of that later. Then, now the last thing to do on this is stitch around. I stitch around the four sides just to give it a nice finish, and then I'll clip off that later. Then I've got to put on a piece of plastic, and I've already cut the plastic, and let's see, I can tell you how big the plastic is, but you can make it whatever size suits if you're making these. It's 2 3/4 inches wide, and you can't see it probably, and it's 3 3/4 inches long. So 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now, because it's slippery and you can't pin it, you find out which side you want it on. Maybe I want it on that side, or do I? Or do I want it on that side? Yeah, I think I like it on that side. And I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to sew it. Ooh, see, this is where it is really quite tricky because it slips. So I'm going to back stitch, and I've made the stitch a little longer. And if you're wondering where I get the plastic, anything that has plastic, any packaging I get, I keep it. If it's, you know, reasonably unblemished. Gift boxes are great, you know, those gift boxes. Boxes that have note cards often have a nice plastic top. And I keep them, and of course the plastic does come in different weights. So there we go. So there, that's done. Now I don't know if that's visible, but anyhow, what I would do, say I've taken my address or information, and then I can just sit it in there, and then this gets looped through, and I just bought myself a lovely eco bag. Let's do this. An eco bag like this. It's got a gazillion pockets. That's a good term, isn't it? It's supposedly that, you know, they can't cut the strap. It has all kinds of pockets inside, has a light inside, and it has these security latches on there. And then, you know, so then I'll make a smaller one actually for this, but I've got a big suitcase that matches this. It's purple, and one of these will be nice on the bigger one, but on the smaller one I will probably be making a little smaller one. And then I'll hook it through here, and all you do is you hook it, you know, you put it through, and then you pull this down through there. You know how to do that. And that, so that's that. So I don't know that there's anything else I can show you on that, except that I am open to ideas. To me, this was the quickest way to do it, and you know, just easy. And also, I like the idea that you don't have to fiddle with inserting. A lot of them have a window cut out in the fabric, and you have to insert the plastic. But I find when you sew it on like this, it gives it extra strength. And after all, you really don't care if it doesn't last a long time. Maybe it'll last for one trip, maybe two, but also it's a very nice gift, I find. I'm going to send some, as I said, to my daughters, and I'm going to put my own painting inside, and then you can always put a gift card, you know, to a craft shop or to a cafe or something. Put some money in there, but then they've got something useful that they don't have to throw away. But my daughters travel a lot too, so I know they're always in need of something like this. And if you look around, it's not easy to find nice tags. They're just not that readily available. So there are a couple. I'm working on this is the next one, and I do have to iron it again. I have to press this a little more because I like it stuck down better. So I've got this one, and then I also